Hello, hello, Sunflower Nation. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of Women in Leadership Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about my own personal journey to developing the Sunflower Nation and how I eventually walked away from a 19-year career in higher education. I had initially promised you that we would do a 4-week series to introduce you to the Sunflower Nation. But to be 100% honest, I am too eager to get going with our guests. I have a nice lineup of guests to share with you. And so I'm going to actually let this third episode of our introduction be our final episode. And next week, you will hear from our very first guest on the show who will share their journey with you. So, just to tell you a little bit more about myself, like I mentioned before, I worked in higher education for the last 19 years of my life, which is pretty much the majority of my adult career. I've been in higher education and I've served in a variety of different roles. From academic advisor to activities coordinator to residence life to director of student activities. I've been the dean. And my last role that I held was the assistant vice president of student engagement and first year experience. And I have to tell you that over the last 19 years certainly has been a journey. Some parts of it were absolutely amazing, and other parts obviously were challenging. But you know, you can't get to the end result without going through some hurdles. And so, even through those difficult times, you know, I appreciate them because they have helped mold me into the type of leader that I am today. So if we just rewind back a few years, during COVID, I was current in my last role as the assistant vice president of student engagement and first year experience. I loved what I was doing. I loved the team that I was working with. It really was quite rewarding to me. The students were absolutely amazing. My colleagues were wonderful to be with. But one of the things that I did learn during COVID was while I really enjoyed doing what I was doing, there was so much more that I wanted to do. I had recently enrolled in a doctorate program where I was working on executive leadership with a dissertation focused on the strong Black woman in higher education leadership, balancing careers, family, and self. And as I continued to do my research, the more I realized that there were a great deal of inequities in my current workplace. And it didn't sit well with me to see these things going on and not really being able to make the impact and change that I thought was so very much necessary in that moment. This was again around the same time as the George Floyd situation. And so there was a lot of social justice issues being brought up. And, you know, I had this burning fire inside of me that I needed to do more, that I needed to be more impactful. And the more I spoke up, the more I felt like I was trying to be stifled. And eventually it just became a very difficult place to be. And again, although I loved my students and I loved the institution that I was working for, because their mission focuses on underserved students, you know, and ensuring that they have opportunities to excel professionally. There's just a lot going on in that time, and in me feeling like I didn't belong in the role that I was in, and feeling that um, the leadership above me almost felt like they were doing me a favor by allowing me to serve in that role. And so, like I said, it became a bit contentious. And I needed a change. Again, while I still love the institution and, you know, I still work with them and would still continue to love to work with them for many, many years to come, I just couldn't continue to serve in that particular capacity. So, one of my longtime dreams was always to do public speaking. And it was something that I did on and off. by request, but I decided I wanted to pursue that full time. I wanted to use my doctorate degree in executive leadership and put that to work in actually doing coaches specifically with executive leaders as well as new leaders to ensure that as leaders that they had the skills that they need to connect with their teams and to really impact change. So I took a leap of faith, right? And started the Sunflower Nation. The Sunflower Nation really was initially birthed, I would say, probably in 2012. But the official licensing of the company did not happen until October of 2022. And so the name, the Sunflower Nation, really stems from a previous experience with cancer that I had. I am thankfully in remission now. But during that time when I was going through chemotherapy, I had always liked sunflowers, but I had a dear friend who actually sent me a floral arrangement with sunflowers, and the note on the card for the floral arrangement was 6 down, 6 to go. And I had 12 chemo treatments in total that I needed to do 12 cycles. And in that moment, I realized, man, I love these flowers, and they really do lift my spirit. And so I continued to do research on sunflowers. And one of the things that I walked away from my research knowing was that sunflowers will only grow in the direction of the sun. So if you actually watch a sunflower in the morning as the sun is still down, and as the sun rises, the sunflower literally opens its head and starts to turn in whatever direction the sun is facing. And so, hence, my at that point, I was in such a negative place in my life, questioning why this happened to me, the cancer. And I needed to change my focus to focusing on getting well and being here long term. And so I started to focus my energy on sunflowers and on positive things. And this also was a time where social media was huge and, really booming. And one of the things that I had started to do was post positive messages on social media. And I would encourage other people to share the messages, because my thought was, if as a people we shared positive messages, we could form a nation of people who shared positivity. So that is what really birthed the Sunflower Nation. And that really is part of our mission of what we do, is we share positive messages to help make the world a little bit better. And so I do my coaching, I do program evaluations, I do trainings, I teach, and of course, I continue to do speaking engagements. So that gives you a little bit of background as far as how the Sunflower Nation came to be, how I left my role as a really an executive leader in higher education to start my own consulting firm. And I can tell you, it has been quite a journey. It's been less than a year since I have started, and there has been so much learning that I have needed to do. And I have had to rely on my resources. This is something that we hear all the time: rely on your resources, tap into your network of support. And for someone like me, who really, I have a hard time asking for help, I'll be 100% transparent. It was a humbling experience to have to reach out to people and say, I'm starting this journey and I want to know if you will help me. And what I learned during that time is that more often than not, people are willing to help you and they want to see you win. And so, my message today to all of my Sunflower Nation followers is that despite how you may think other people will respond to your request, tap into the support, right? Not everyone is going to be a fan, and that's okay, but you will have people who support you. I realize as I tapped on different people's shoulders, asking for help, asking for advice, asking for guidance, that they became really members of the Sunflower Nation because they were just as committed to the success of my organization as I was. I would post something, they would share it right away. It came to the point where before I sent something out, I would ask somebody to take a quick look at it and give me some feedback. It became really a community. And that's what the Sunflower Nation is about. It really, when you join the Sunflower Nation, when you click that button, what you're doing is really making a commitment to not just focus on positive thoughts yourself, but you're making a commitment to sharing positive messages with others to help make the world just a little bit better. So, to all of you out there who may be in leadership roles and you're hoping to grow, maybe you're not in a leadership role and you're hoping to get that promotion or that breakthrough. Maybe you're navigating things and just trying to figure out where exactly you belong. Maybe you are in a leadership role and maybe you want to step out on faith and do your own thing. I encourage you to lean on other people for support. There's nothing wrong with saying, I need a little bit of help. Because again, none of us arrive to our destinations alone. We walk this path together. And so don't be afraid to lean in. Okay. So that is my note to you. I am so excited for next week to roll around so that I can release my first episode where I will have a guest on for you. And I am confident in knowing that you will thoroughly enjoy the episodes moving forward. I encourage you to continue listening each week, not just for our podcast episodes, but of course also for our Sunflower Seeds, where we share positive messages to keep you growing throughout the week. And of course, please make sure you visit our website, sunflowernation.net. Click that join now button so that you can be updated on all our upcoming events when our sunflower seeds and podcasts are released. And of course, if you are listening through a podcasting streaming service, or if you are watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe now button so that you can continue to be updated with all of our daily going ons. And so, from me to you, may your heart be filled with the brightest of sunflowers, even on the cloudiest of days. This is Dr. Edith Banks with the Sunflower Nation, sending you love and positive vibes. Until next time, take care.